I'm here at my kitchen today. I'm going to start a new series called What's for Dinner. Not only do I work in the shop and do things like that, but I can cook as well. So the thing about cooking, I think for me is, recipes are kind of like friends, right? You give them a go and then you only keep the best. So I don't have a lot of recipes that I'll probably do through the series, but they're the ones that I've kept either with me for a really long time or just, come across recently, but, I really like them. So this particular one today that we're going to be doing is Thai rice soup. Now this is not a spicy dish. From what I read online, it's sort of a traditional simple rice soup. I kind of got turned on to it. There's a Thai food place that my wife and I like to go to, and on certain days is a little, they give you a little bowl of soup, different types of soup before your meal. So on certain days they serve this rice soup. Well, they'll never tell you how to make it or what's in it. So I did some research, found some different recipes online, and then tried to tune that towards kind of what they serve in the restaurant. But in all of that, I kind of came up with my own recipe. And it's winter time right now. It's the middle of January, so when it's cold outside, snuggling up with a nice hot bowl of soup is a good way to do a meal. So this is a simple recipe. I'm just going to go through the ingredients here real quick before we get started, and I'll also post the recipe down below the video. But it's 6 cups water, half a cup jasmine rice, 2 tablespoons chicken bouillon. Now I use the Better Than Bullion. I don't use the little cubes, and I'll be showing it later when I actually get to doing it, but that's an awesome bouillon. I use the chicken for this. I use beef. And some of my other recipes use both for making gravies, whether you want a white gravy or a brown gravy. Next item is a 1/4 cup chopped green onions and a half a teaspoon of crushed sea salt, and then 1 to 2 cloves of minced garlic. I run it through a garlic press. It really depends how much garlic. I love garlic. I grow my own garlic, so I tend to add a lot of garlic to these types of recipes. So let's go over to the stove and we'll get started. Over here at the stove, we're going to start by bringing our 6 cups of water to a boil. You want to use a saucepan that's big enough for 6 cups and to bring the water to a boil. Once this is brought to a boil, we're going to add our rice and boil them together for 3 minutes and then simmer for 20. In the meantime, let's go get started on the rest of our ingredients. So the first thing we're going to work on over here is our green onions. Now I've already washed these thoroughly, so next thing is to kind of even them up and cut the roots off. Now I like to use a pair of scissors in the kitchen. I keep these just for food. Just any old pair of stainless steel scissors will do. They're handy for things like this. Cut the roots off, and then I like to waste the little bit of the tops just to get rid of any damaged portions. And then the next thing is I just start chopping them into a bowl. Now for this recipe we only need a 1/4 cup of chopped green onions. And I'm going to show you a little trick of what you can use the rest for here in a minute. I have other dishes that use a lot of green onions and also use the white parts, but for the soup I just like to use the green parts. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up my 1/4 cup measure. And then I'll finish cutting the rest of the green onions into the bowl. Alright, so what to do with the rest of the green onions? What I like to do is just put them in a Ziploc bag and then I put them in the freezer, and that way you have a handy amount of green onions if you're making omelets in the morning, if you're making more soup, or if you're making any other dish that needs sort of cooked green onions. Now these are going to turn mushy in the freezer, and they'll get pretty frosted up. But once you add them to your food, they're fine. But you do want to take them out, use them while they're still frozen. If you take them out, let it sit on the counter, they just get really soft really fast. Clean off my board here. Alright, so the next thing we're going to prep is going to be the garlic. Now this is the hardneck garlic that I grow myself. It's got this nice, I don't know if you can see it, nice purple color on the outside. And now my recipe calls for 1 clove, but I like to make it a man-sized clove because I like garlic. Now let's cut the roots off, and then the easiest way to get them, this one's already partially peeled, so you probably peel it by hand, but the easiest way to get it ready to peel is just the flat side of your blade, give it a little tap. That loosens everything up, and our garlic's ready to go. Next for the recipe is our ½ teaspoon of crushed sea salt, and what I like to use for that is just one of these sea salt grinders, and I leave the lid on it, turn it upside down, give it 10 or 12 twists, and then you can fill your ½ teaspoon measure and kind of level it out. So you got your ½ teaspoon of salt ready to go. Now that's really it for the prep work. Now we just have to wait for the water to boil. I'll boil the rice for 3 minutes. Add the rice once the water's boiling, and then simmer it for 20. And then we'll be back to add these ingredients in and finish our soup. Okay, our water and our rice have boiled together for 3 minutes. And you want to stir this occasionally, make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom. So now we're going to turn it down low to a simmer, and then we'll make sure we stir it every few minutes, every 5 minutes, whatever, to make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom. And at the end of that 20 minutes, we'll be ready to add the rest of our ingredients and enjoy our soup. And we're at the end of our 20-minute simmer cycle. So what we want to do now is add the rest of our ingredients. First we'll add in our crushed sea salt. Stir that in. Next I'm going to add the garlic. Now I just like to run it through a garlic press, and that seems to really open it up and release all the nice garlic oil. So I just press it and give it a little trim with my knife. And then it seems like there's always little bits on the sides of the press, so kind of work it back down in there and give it another press. Get every last little bit of garlicky goodness there. Go ahead and stir that in. Now we also need to bring it to a boil here as we add the ingredients, so I'm going to turn it back up to high. Give it a little bit of a stir. And the next thing is, I use this Better Than Bullion chicken base for this soup and for some other foods that I make. Now this one happens to be organic and also reduced sodium. I buy this at Costco, and this size 16 ounces runs about $6 at Costco. Now you pay that for a jar about half this size in a regular grocery store. So if you are a member of one of the warehouse clubs, it's worth it to buy it there. So, and this is a you can see that it's sort of a thick paste, and I say 2 heaping tablespoons. So what I kind of do is get a bunch in there and kind of work it against the side, and you can see it gives me almost 2 tablespoons, probably a tablespoon and a half. Now you can vary this. I like the chicken flavor. I just kind of stir it in here. I use one of these metal spoons so I can stir it in here and get it to release. And then go back in the second one. And stir it in as well until it releases and sort of cleans my measure off. Work on stirring all that together while we add in our green onions. And you can adjust this to taste, obviously. It's your recipe now. I do, once I bring it to a boil, I like to, and then cool it back down a little bit, I like to just sample it and see if, I need to adjust the salt, or maybe I want some more chicken stock. It kind of depends on, how you feel that day sometimes. And this is an excellent soup for when you're sick or the weather's cold and you're not feeling well. It's just good stuff. Nothing like a nice hot bowl of soup. And there we brought it back to a boil, so that's all we really need. I can turn it off. I'm going to sample it here. Perfect. All right, let me reset the camera and we'll dish some of this out, and maybe I can get you in for a little closer look. And here we are, our nice, beautiful, and delicious bowl of Thai rice soup. Well, I hope you enjoyed this Thai rice soup as much as me and my family do. If you'd like to see more recipes, please like, subscribe, and comment, and I have some others I'd like to share. Thank you. Now if you'll excuse me, I've got some eating to do.